So, welcome to the Getting Closure podcast. I'm James. I'm here with Cheryl Stainsby, who's the leader of Your Director's Advocate. So, Cheryl, let's start by really what's this concept for this podcast? What do we want to get out of this for the business owner? What's this for?
James, I think as a result of COVID, there's a lot of small businesses out there who are really struggling. Their sales have dropped. They might have debts that they can't collect, but in a lot of ways, businesses are struggling, and a lot of small business owners don't know where to go to for help. They don't have access necessarily to professionals, and so they're floundering.
So you're trying to say a lawyer might have a business person might have a lawyer or an accountant, but they might go to the lawyer for a particular issue or just to get their accountant to do their tax. But you're saying there's a bunch of people out there who are possibly doing it a bit tough, who might be facing some tough decisions. Where do they get their thought? Who's for them? Is that really what you see?
That's what I'm saying. And look, probably most people have an accountant, although a lot of people would literally just have someone that does their tax at the end of the year. So not what I would call a business advisor. And I've got to say, James, a lot of people don't have a lawyer because most small businesses really don't have any experience. They've never had to.
You might do a lease and that's about it.
And that's about it. So a lot of people just don't have those resources. When their business starts to get into trouble, sometimes the only people they go to for advice is maybe the next door neighbour who had to put their company into liquidation 3 years ago.
So they're qualified because they went broke themselves.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so quite often they might be horror stories too. So now our small business owner is actually terrified to seek advice because they're so frightened of all the bad things that they've heard. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad if it's done properly and you get the right advice and you've got someone to hold your hand through the process.
So Cheryl, your business is called Your Director's Advocate. Is that the idea that you're the person who's with the person who might be the director or the owner of the business in this kind of world of potentially shutting their business down and all the horror stories you've heard? Is that the concept?
That's right, yeah. Because I would say that most of the small business owners that we look after, while the outcome is not always the greatest, the experience is somewhat made easier by the fact that they've had someone to hold their hand through the process, to seek advice, and to make sure that they get the right advice from the lawyers, the accountants, the liquidators, the bankruptcy trustees, all of the people involved who make sure the process runs smoothly.
So we're not saying that everybody's got their own agenda in this situation, but everybody's got their own things they've got to get done.
That's right.
For businesses winding up or closing down or is forced to close. So you're saying that you're thinking that you'd like the business people to have a set of resources in this series of podcasts about, hey, what should I do here? And obviously from somebody such as yourself who's easily a phone call away if, hey, I need a bit more help.
That's right. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of professional people who are involved quite often in the liquidation of a company or the bankruptcy of an individual. But a lot of these people give advice in their area of expertise.
Right.
And quite often they don't really see the full ramifications of a person who's going through the process from beginning to end. So maybe their company goes into liquidation, there's personal ramifications, and they then have to file for bankruptcy. Do they lose their house? Do they keep their house? What are the stresses on the family as a whole as they work through that whole process? And the director's advocate is the person that's there right from the very beginning to the very end. And sometimes, James, it's a 5-year process.
Yeah, right. So really what we're saying is we'd love people to tune into these podcasts. It's not going to be like, well, it is in some ways going to be like going to the dentist. There will be some tough things to hear and some things that people have got to face. But the objective is that we want people to be able to tune in and hear, hey, is this me? Am I facing this problem? What do I do here? So we've got the advantage of Cheryl's skills to help us through this. So over the next kind of series of podcasts, there'll be little snippets that people can kind of grab as they go, can't they, Cheryl? And sort of they're driving into work or something like that. The idea, we'll just take a topic at a time and tune in next time.